Lagway, right away, first game we can analyze, went on the channel, told my co-host, look, everyone knows I love quarterbacks, and I'm going to say a lot of really positive things. And of course you get this is great, followed by people filling my inbox with, of course you're just going to puff up this guy, which is funny because, really I like to just puff up, I think, guys who have skills. And Lagway immediately had so many high-level quarterback skills, especially in the pocket on time. And I chronicled that from game one. That stayed throughout the year. And so his greatest strength, I think, is the beginning of what's happening on a play. And then his second greatest strength, like a barbell, is what happens if he's under pressure early in the play. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But all in all, he throws on time. He's a full field reader. As a freshman, he was pretty early on. He's comfortable, especially with making quick decisions when his pre-snap read is good. He throws on platform very well, and he obviously throws an excellent deep ball. A few of his major issues that I chronicled all year long, one surprising, others not so surprising. The not surprising stuff is going to be what happens after that initial, you get down, your back foot hits, you're ready to throw. What happens then? That's where being a veteran and getting reps is going to help you more. A lot of times he'll start throwing off platform. If he resets, it's not clean. If he climbs, it's not clean. He'll reset. He'll throw sideways. He'll do weird stuff. He can make that work, but that does drive his inaccuracy. But the really surprising thing about a guy like Lagway, who I believe to be a cerebral quarterback, is he struggled last year so mightily versus drop 8 coverages. The numbers are actually amazing to see just how much he struggled. I'll give you a few numbers here. They're right in front of me, but his rating versus a 5-man rush or really any blitz at all is above 100. So he was 107 and 110 there. That goes to a scale of like 145. So he was roughly top 25 in the country versus the blitz. Depending on the certain pressure, it could have been higher than that. When you talked about just him facing a 3-man rush, he was 85th in the Power 5. Wow. So right down in the bottom 10% with a 37 rating, which is as bad as you can possibly get. He threw a pick 1 every 9.5 passes. Had no touchdowns, and just got trounced versus drop 8. Now, that does not seem to make sense. Big arm guy, cerebral guy. Drop 8, you should be fine. But he also took a lot of pressure. 40th in pressure rate when he was facing off in a drop 3. And lastly, facing the blitz, he was excellent versus pressure. So you would think, okay, if he's getting pressure with a 3-man rush, what's happening? Well, the answer is perhaps surprising, perhaps not so surprising, that as a young quarterback who played in high school, was often hitting his first or second read. And if he got to his third read and he escaped, big arm, big downfield throw. Some of those throws are not available in college. Some of those picks happened because in large part, he's seeing more complicated zone drops. Against Tennessee on the road, he threw a really ill-advised pick only because he's a freshman. Bounced back, didn't throw that same pick again. But this continued all the way until the end of the year, including the bowl game versus Tulane. He played a ton of drop 8, and he had one of his worst games. So I wanted to end with that to say, I certainly hope that DJ, and I imagine he did, spent the entire offseason at least cerebrally trying to figure out how to do better versus these drop 8 coverages. That was his major weakness last season. Most everything else on film was a strength, or you can see is going to be a strength. But versus drop 8, it's hard to find any positive film where you say, okay, he's got this figured out. He was definitely lost all season long versus that kind of coverage.